Hey everybody, I'm Joe. Welcome back. Charisma is my dump stat, so I sit here behind a purple pumpkin and I show you my brand new, improved character sheet for Dungeons & Dragons that will make you an actual wizard. If you follow along, you'll learn a lot about Excel, other spreadsheets, that kind of thing, and you'll be able to apply that anywhere in your life that you want to. So that's what I'm trying to do. I'm giving you the gift of an improved Dungeons & Dragons experience and hopefully giving you some stuff that you can use throughout your life. Okay, first up, you got to figure out how to get the basic sheet for yourself. And that's going to be, hey, there's the original video I made. Any of the videos that I make, I'm going to be putting the links down here in the description. So if you click on the description, then you'll be able to see it. Some people have left comments. That's cool. If you're just watching on your TV, then you're not on a computer and you can't do anything about it anyway. So switch over to your computer and then you'll be able to go and check it out. So the first thing you'll be able to do is I have the original. That's the Excel Online. And then the homebrew. That's what I'm working on right now. That has all the automations and things on it that are different this time around. When you click on it, it's going to bring you up to Excel's online version. Now here's the thing. If you don't have a full version of Excel, you got to use the previous one. And the reason for that is there's a lot of functions that don't exist on the free version. You can download it. You'll still be able to go to File, and you can go to Download a Copy. That's all you need to do. And then open it for yourself. And once you have it available, crack it open, and then we'll get started. Okay? Once you crack it open, here it is in Excel. Then you'll probably want to drag this. Come on, work with me. Work with me. Witness me. Okay, there it goes. Drag this down. Play with it if you need to. So you'll have more room to be able to see how the functions work. Now, I have a big wide screen, and you might not be able to get yours the way it wants. So expand it however you need to in order to be able to see everything. I'm shooting this in 4K. You should be able to read everything. If you can't, switch the device. Don't try to watch it on a phone and expect to be able to see all the little writing. That's nuts. Go back to your computer. You can't do it on a phone anyway. Go to your computer, follow along. One of the things you might be able to see here is some drop downs. Oh, well, what does that mean? Well, that means now I've got all kinds of things added in. Automations. If I were to say pick a Kibbles Tasty Homebrew, and I want an occultist class, I can click over here to subclasses, and there's all the subclasses. Dear gosh, what happened? You know what I mean? The automations are in here. They're kind of complicated. I will go through how to do each one. There are some benefits to having a full copy of Excel, and that's basically the first step. You get to do all kinds of fanciness with the functions and things in the background. There's also some things you can only do with the Office 365 version, which is the subscription model. I'm using Excel 2021. I paid, I think, $20 for the full suite, and you can find discount codes all over the place for versions of Office yourself, or you can support and use Microsoft's Office 365 if you want. There is one particular function that makes all of this stuff ridiculously easy. And if you don't have it, it's ridiculously hard. And I will go through both, just so you'll have that idea. I'm not using any macros or anything like that you'll have to save and would cause you to have some issues at work by downloading a virus, that type of thing. No, everything is from functions within Excel itself. So if you found a discounted version, if you happen to have one from an old computer, whatever the case is, then you should be able to use it. Excel is what you use in your life outside of high school. PowerPoint's what you use until high school, right? Spreadsheets. If you were to use LibreOffice's Calc, if you were to use some other spreadsheet function in Linux or Mac or whatever the case is, then a lot of this will still apply, and chances are pretty good it will still open, because Excel's fairly interoperable. The file types have been around forever, so I have not tested it on Google Sheets or that kind of thing, but you can. Feel free. I don't care. So give it a go. The only thing is when I tried it on Google Sheets, I know for a fact that the formatting, so things like how these gray bars and the black bars and all that, I know that they don't translate very well at all. But you can fix that and adjust the scheme however you like. Watch the first video to see how I made all of these things and why I made them that way. And that should speed things up and get us a little further down the line. Something I'd like to point out is that this is for the homebrew people out there. I have included all of the SRD package information, and that is because that is the only information you can freely distribute. And that's from Wizards of the Coast. So it's not going to have anything from the player's handbooks, but you will be able to, if you wanted, utilize my methodologies to make any book you want work for you. And I have included Kibbles Tasties stuff because there was a lot of it and it was freely available. So you can go to kthomebrew.com. That's his website. You can go to Reddit and look him up. You can do any of that fun stuff. I bought his book because I really wanted to support him, and you can do the same. So like I said, there's an occultist class in here. I'll pick a subclass, just why not? Notice there's no restriction on the level. Different versions may have a subclass restriction to level 2 or 3 or 1 or whatever the case is. I need to make it as backwards compatible as possible to your play experience and where your what your table has. So your own homebrews might work differently, change everything around, and sometimes it's just easier not to program something that is too crazy, because then you'll have to change it in too many other places if you want to make any modifications. I've made it so that you can quickly either if you want to right click or you just want to hit the delete button. There you go. It's not there anymore. So you can still go back, and sometimes you got to scroll up. You can pick another one, whatever the case is. So it'll do the same thing. There are backgrounds for the SRD. Right now, Acolyte's the only one that's available. You can pick from any of the alignments if that's what you want to do. And where you get these drop downs from is under data. And if you go to data validation and you click on it, brings that up, and then this allow will be under list. So it starts at any value, you bring it down to list, and then there's a source, and this is where things get crazy. You'll see it says background dependencies ! That means it is on another page. If you click on here and you try to click on anything else, all kinds of crazy things are going to happen. So you want to be a little bit careful about where you click on things. If you find you have any errors because you have like a ton of data, most of the time these ranges are not going to be big enough, and you can expand them up to 1,000 or whatever the biggest number you think you're going to have is, and that will usually fix an issue and include things. So that's something you can do there. I did not put drop downs for the traits, ideals, and all that because they don't exist yet, and you can use the same methodologies that I use to create that for yourself if you want to. You cannot freely distribute the player's handbook material that is IP owned by Wizards of the Coast. I have to tell you, do not freely distribute anything. Do not break any laws. The SRD is under Creative Commons now. And you can, as long as you give attribution to the SRD as far as whatever OGL stuff, then you should be fine. 5.2 will be coming, I think, after the Dungeon Master's Guide and Monster Manual are out, and for 2024. So right now everything's going to be 2014. The way I have set this up, see how it says 5.14? That's 5e 2014. Now if you wanted to change it later and you're moving it down, use 5.24 or anything that you want. You'll see here it says SRD 5.1. That's the source. Homebrew is also a source. That means there's going to be multiple pulls of the data to both pull from the SRD material and then shortly thereafter pulling from the homebrew material. There will need to be some adjustments made to make everything work correctly based on how much stuff you intend to use. I will tell you that if you just want the complication of one single source, you can just make everything the same source when it comes to where the data is stored, and it'll show up. So I would say if you want to have it to where it can be filtered out quickly, you can set multiple types of homebrew, and you can even set in here, you know, another criteria, and you can set, you know, as many of them as you want there, you know, and add more if that's the case to you. So right now the function doesn't work for that, but I can add those later. So that part's up to you. Things that will work now. So if I set this to like 15, you'll see that the experience points changed, and there's no rhyme or reason to the way that experience is run. It just picks from this table that kind of has always existed. There's no formula that really goes to it. So you have to make a lot of tables that are dependent on what's being read. Also here you'll see that the HP maxes changed up, and that the hit dice, you know, changed up as well. Those get stored in a table separately as well. Here, all these zeros and NAs and all that, when you see zeros and NAs, that's probably because it's going to pull from another area, another table, and that information is being propagated here. Now, if you scroll down some more, all of the equipment, you can type in whatever you want, but like the weapon proficiencies, they have a drop down. If you want to remove any of these drop downs and type in your own thing, then just go back up to data, change data validation to any instead of list, and you can type whatever you want. If you type something crazy, so if I were to type blah, it might work or it might not. So it's up to you to how you want to save something in there. All right, so there's just some ways that Excel will run things in lists. Data validation means you're supposed to have a very limited number of things that you can put in there. So sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. As far as languages go, it's going to default here to common, but you're also going to have all of the SRD languages. You can pick whichever ones you think will work for you. These here are pastable areas for different actions. I wanted to have a space on the front page for you to type in what your character can do. So you have like a little notes area, and that's for bonus actions, actions, and reactions. So whenever anything pops up, you can type out the name on the left and kind of what it does on the right, a little area, and life should get a little more easy for you. That's the goal anyway. So what else do I have? Armor proficiencies, tool proficiencies. These are all drop downs as well. So you can add to these. That's something you cannot do on D&D Beyond. You can't even add classes on D&D Beyond. So that's why I had to make these kinds of changes. This weapon area here. Now, there's some of these that are pulling. So if you go to equals, it's giving you where the location is at. If you don't know where something's at and you want to look it up, then the easiest place to look for it is under formulas, name manager, and then all of the names for everything are in here. And there's just tons of them, but it's going to tell you where it refers to, and you can change it from there. You can do other things like that if you need to. And there are certain variables or names that are assigned to just the page itself, and there are others that are global. It, you know, can make things a little bit confusing if you try to use them in too many places, or you think, you know, it says spell table instead of spell list. Well, they are very different things, and they go to different places. And if you want to break the description, you can do that there, and then just type in exactly what the fields are that you want it to be, if that's the case for you. I want to show you under the equip tab. So this is one that I created. I put in all of the items that were in the SRD. And unfortunately, that's like a signet ring that you can click here. That's the only one in the finger area. Most people don't have it. And then for torso, there are armors. Now I have a 10 strength. You'll see that breastplate's the last one. If I were to go over here and change my strength to say 15 and go back to equipped, and I go to the torso armors, Now all the plate mails and things are there that have an actual higher strength restriction on them. So that's one of the things that you can bring up. Okay, and right now it doesn't assign any values to ACs or anything like that, which could happen in here if you wanted it to do that, because there's so many different armors beyond the SRD material that I think it would just get in the way. You can just put, equals and then, plus whatever you want it to be. Okay, so you can set it to an armor value. You can set it to one of the armor values that is available in the other tables and things that are in there. So that part's up to you. You can change things around however you need to. I am going to switch this back to 1, just so in my head things can stay consistent. Here, weapons. All the weapons are available. Okay, so let's say there's a Warhammer and I want to be proficient. I put this little X there so you can check on it. See, if you see the X was there, it added the proficiency bonus. Okay, so that's a thing that this is doing. So if you have something that makes it have a double proficiency or something like that that goes along too, this if statement will need to be changed. So if you have some extra thing, then instead of plus proficiency bonus, change it to whatever else it is. If you're using your dex, change it to dex bonus instead of proficiency bonus. Okay, so those are things that you can do. If you did select a Warhammer, it's going to move over here. The reason why I put it in this area for you to change things around is because this is where I put your backpack. So if you're going to be switching your items around and doing different stuff like that, then I figured it would all be on the same page. Now I put for dominant hand and offhand. If you want to use those to say how you're holding things, you can just, copy things out of your backpack and paste it in here. And then you'll know if you had to change it, that's going to require an action to do that. Mounts are in the SRD, so I put them in there. You can have a camel if that's what you want. You can have a draft horse. You can have whatever it is that you think is going to be there. They have various values that are assigned to them. So maybe it's the speed, maybe it's the carry weight. I don't know what you're going to use your mounts for. If you're going to consider them to be companions, you have these fields to use as you see fit, and you can use similar formats and syntaxes to the formulas that I utilize to fill these in automatically if that's what you want to do. Okay, so I'm going to delete that for now, and there you go. All right, let's just take a quick brief look at spells. First thing I hope you notice is this is a very similar spell sheet to what you had before, but it gives the name, it gives the spellcasting ability, and your spellcasting bonus automatically. If I were to change this, instead of an occultist, I will delete that. I change it to the wizard, for example, it's got to automatically switch to int. So depending on how you've set up your data, it will make it easy for you to make those changes. And see this big, long, crazy formula that goes along with it to make sure that it is picking up the correct spellcasting bonus and it's going the right place. Same thing here. I have to do like these X lookups and this one here for indirect in order to give the right values. Here, just a simple X lookup. This is the magic of things that I hope you will utilize, and it will allow you to pull data from the various tables. I have included a massive amount of data that goes into each of the various dependent and other worksheets that are not visible here. This is a huge file for an Excel deal. I think it's like 16 megabytes. And so it's a little big to email, but I think it's more than okay for modern computers to not have that big of a issue opening it up. But you won't have to search anything for a website. You won't have to do SQL calls. You won't have to do anything like that. But you could. And if you did, it will work better. It will work faster. and the data can be manipulated in more ways that will work best. However, I am restrained to make it so that it will work on the free versions or the lowest cost versions possible. And with that, I am not able to tell you to go set up an SQL website with yourself so that you have to go host somewhere or learn how to run an SQL server or do the uploads and all that kind of stuff. I can tell you that there's an SQL server for free from Microsoft that you can run on your own Windows machine. I believe Mac, because it was originally Linux-based, might have it all built in. You might be able to run a MySQL server. I say SQL instead of SQL because for new people, if you use a bunch of company jargon, if you use a lot of fanciness, they're not going to know what the hell you're talking about. And abbreviations make it difficult because there are a lot of ways that a shortened set of letters can be used for multiple things. So MySQL, MySQL, however your IT professional wants to talk to you, whatever, you now know how to go and find it. SQL, it stands for Sequential Query Language. Okay, so what do I got? Wizard spells. So if you see here, Acid Splash, Shocking Grasp, all that stuff for the wizard under cantrips shows up. But if I were to go maybe change this to, say, a warlock, and I clicked on it, it changed. So this is changing according to how that appears up here. Okay, there's some magic that goes on behind it. The first thing to look at is data validation. And I've created this page called Spells Dependencies. Now, every time I create a page that takes data from one big data source and puts it into a refined list, I'm going to use something called a filter, then I need to make a new page to store it. And I've named all of those as dependencies. I've hid this from you. It's existing here on the web page, and you can find it, manipulate it, and use it. But you got to right click and go to unhide to find it. Now you'll find things like the character back, the features and inventory sheet, and all that kind of cool stuff. Extra spell cards. Did I mention that there's spell cards in there? Let's take a quick look at that just to show you cool stuff. If I pick Chill Touch, bam, Chill Touch appears there. Gives you all of the info that's there. This 0 ends up by default because there was no material items, so deal with it. And I guess it's missing the Y there. Sorry about that. That can be fixed later. I'll show you how to do that as well. But it's going to give you the best it can. You can manipulate these if you need to. You can change the size of the fonts and all that kind of cool stuff. If it helps you out, use it. All right. I have tendencies towards dyslexia. There are dyslexic fonts. You can change them to the dyslexic fonts, and maybe that will help you as well. All right. So just keep that part in mind. All right. Now let's unhide some stuff. Let's go to spells. Now see how it says spells and then spells dependencies, subclasses, dependencies. The thing of it is, these are organized in a way that makes it so whatever the filtered page is, I named it consistently. Try to keep things consistent for people will find things. You'll see down here at 533, that's how many spells I had to put in by hand. So you're welcome. That's why this Y was missing. But I can go up to the Y, type it in, and now I fixed the spelling error. It's pretty simple. If you set your data organization up well at the beginning, then as long as it's consistent, you'll be able to share these with people and you won't have any problems. You'll be able to adapt and create more cool things for this whole project. That would be amazing for you guys to go and do something extra with it or add things to it. And then I'm not the only one doing it myself. Okay. The way I thought about it was, if I wanted to use this type of character sheet in Pathfinder, even, you would just change system name instead of D&D, change it to Pathfinder. System version, as I stated before, we're looking from the 2014 version of the SRD, so it's 5.14 for 2014. The SRD has been designated as 5.1. If I come down here, about the halfway point between Kibble stuff and the SRD, you'll see that I go from SRD to Homebrew. And then I have Kibble's Tasty and the SRD. So if you were to say add some content in of your own, you can change these out and filter out. Let's say you had a massive list because you just love this so much that you want everything that you've ever seen to be available in this character sheet. More power to you. I would recommend setting up an SQL server and then having the data attached to that. You can do that under data, get data, and you can say from file, data sources, online services. You can get it from all these places. You can hook up the Excel data stuff, and it will be in one place and be consistent and be updated quicker. And the background of operations and calculations that happen in Excel will happen quicker. So you can do that. Totally up to you. Your choice. Right now I got to do it for the wide audience, like I said. The spell level is here, school. If you look under here, I've added occultist to this SRD content because the occultist class, and right now you can't add classes to D&D Beyond, so this is something that you can do here, you couldn't do there, to quickly add content for your games. It uses SRD material, so I had to put a little comma and then occultist and added it to it. You can do this for every spell, and then it will automatically add to your spell lists. If you're a bard, warlock, whatever, you're a warlord from Kibbles or whatever, the skills might be, you can set it up this way and use the function that I put in on those pages for the spells to filter out based on the words that are here. And that makes life a lot easier to refine things down. The action amount, this is just text. Same thing with range. Same thing with the spell components. And then I just have a field here for the materials, and also here for concentration. Now I've separated out concentration because it's a complicated word thing. It always says like concentration up to an hour. Well, what does that really mean? Do you care while you're playing? The main thing you need to know is if it's a concentration spell, is it active, and is it going to stop you from casting another concentration spell? So you could, if you wanted, make this field here that says yes on all the concentration spells, change the color of all the spells. If you wanted to do that, there's something that you can set up in Excel using VBScript, and it will allow you to separate that out without having to do anything extra complicated. You can just Control F if you wanted and change these all to ones and zeros. However makes your data work better, that part's up to you. I just put yes and no, and then you can put if yes, then change the color, that kind of thing. Here is for things like rituals and any other extra text you may have. And in the Kibble's Tasty, he has some that say curse, some that say primal, some that say various other bits of information. And I made it appear pretty much where you would normally see the ritual area, because that was a great place to put the text. If you look here, it would appear where this 0 is at, any of that extra information. So it makes sense. It's all here. It's not, too crazy. If you had a reaction and you needed a lot of area to write in all the text, then that, is a pretty big size right there for you. One action, if it's too much and it gets too crazy, then you can either refer to the original or move these things around and just change that one cell if you need to. Okay. Back to spells. So this is where all the data is stored. And I was trying to tell you that under spells dependencies, so unhide spells dependencies, this is where the data is pulled from. Now, if you look at it, I put some information up here just to make it easy to reference. So class level was from the main page, the character front page, these other pieces of information. But this filter function right here, this is super important. Here's the deal. This filtration starts by saying, give me the D&D, give me the 514, give me the SRD 5.1, and then look for, under spells, the value of Warlock. So it needs this is number and this search function right here. I don't have an in-depth explanation as to why it requires that, but in order for it to function and actually do a search and bring back the data that's just says Warlock into all those fields, you know, something like right here, which you can't click on here. You'll notice it doesn't appear here because everything comes out of this crazy function of filter. If you were to go back and you were to look at Chill Touch under spells, so we'll go back up to the top up here, then you can click on it and you'll actually see it say, you know, Warlock right there. But under dependencies, it's only one cell that matters, and then it spills into the rest. And if you get an error that says spill, it's because you added something below it and the data set's too big and it can't just plop it all down here. The complicated thing here is you may want to add that homebrew from here, right? So instead of just looking up this line that says SRD 5.1, you may want that homebrew in order to bring up all the homebrew stuff. How do you get that to work? Oh God, this is so difficult. In the older versions, if you are using Office 365, you would type vstack, take the original function, give it a, you know, an extra parentheses there, take this one here and control, put a comma, and then paste it, and then end the parentheses, and it would stack them. That would be cool, but you have to pay a subscription fee for that. So are you going to pay it? Then use that. You're not going to pay it? We'll continue. I hit escape. I set it back to the way that it was set up before. Now I can only put one operation in the stack, so I'm going to have to take, everything from here, copy that, go down to the end, and then paste it in. And the way that the thing has been done is I need to pull from another source. So I'll click here, right? I'll hit delete. I will go over to the character front page and I will click on the second one. And you see it has now changed where the blinker's at to the character front equals DQ6. Okay. I want to take, if you move anything, it is going to jump around and it's going to go to the wrong place. So don't use the keyboard, use the mouse. Sorry about that. Take this and change this one to, instead of being this, I think it would just be DQ7, but maybe it changes to R. Let's see. Oh, it's DZ. There's so many different things here, it's just better to click on it. So take this spell dependencies thing here, right there. Take the whole thing and set that. Then hit enter. And it'll say formula spilled, blah, blah, blah. It's fine. All of this is now here. Okay? So you have to change that every time. Unless all of the classes have the exact same spell lists and numbers of spells, you got to change that each time. If you could just use that vstack function because you have Office 365, it will do it dynamically and you won't have to adjust anything. So from there, I would go back here and I would take my data validation range and I would change it, instead of 14, I would change it to something like 200, right? And then I'd catch all the spells. And you'll see all of these from Kibbles Tasty, all of these things appear. So that part, you know, is kind of crazy. Okay, that's the hard stuff. So if you want to refine it further, here's the problem. Okay, so under data validation, then go to data validation here and click on this thing. Okay, see how it changes and it's like selecting this whole range, but that's too much because I just need these zeros to be cantrips. Okay, I highlight those and then I roll it all the way down and I'm looking for cantrips again. Crap, these are not in any kind of order. This would be a huge problem. Okay, that can happen when you're going to be doing homebrews and adding all the extra stuff. So how do we fix it? Hit escape, hit cancel, go back to our spells. We'll go over to Mr. Kibbles, out part of the SRD. I think the SRD's got like 360. Okay, take these, drag it all the way down. And I'm trying to not use so many keyboard commands so you can kind of see what's going on. There are keyboard commands that let you jump around. Ah, I lost it. No, I didn't. Okay. And then I want to take the data and I want to sort it based on, I want column F. And I want smallest to longest. And if I hit OK, then that sets all the zeros here. If you wanted, you could take them all together and then dump them all together and do the whole page to sort by that information, if that's what you wanted to do. But it may mix it all together. It may make some other crazy things happen. It may change the arrangements and values. If you're expecting to see like the player's handbook stuff up at the top, then you have to leave it sorted at the top. And that's just so you can find where the spell comes from a little bit easier. That's why I did it that way. So let's go back. We're here. We're here when we want to change just to be able to see the hard way, to be able to see the cantrips only. Data validation. Go to where the source is, change the source. Then we take from here to there. And we go back down to where the other zeros are. We hold control and then we take from 0 to here. And we hit enter. And we hit OK. Ah! It's not going to allow you to do it. Okay. So let's hit cancel and we'll try it a different way. Leave this one alone. Okay. Let's copy and paste from here. It's going to take the data validation with it. Go back up here to the data, go to data validation, and click on our thing over here. Then just take the ones down here and hit OK, or hit enter and then hit OK. Now we will get the Kibbles Tasty ones. It's, you know, it sucks, but if you're not going to use all of the Kibbles Tasty spells, or the homebrew spells, or whatever the case is, and you're only going to use a couple, you're going to use one here and use one there, and then, you know, it's not the end of the world. One thing you should know is when you drag it down, it's going to change the formatting for some strange reason. I don't know why, but it's going to make it so that they're all the same. So if you're not pulling, if you're done pulling from the ones that you wanted that are part of the SRD, and you want to, you know, drag the rest down and just be part of that, you can do that. Okay, and you can hit delete. Actually, you know what? Let's not delete them all. Let's bring some up, and I'll show you what it looks like when you've selected them. See, it's kind of nice. All of the stuff is here. Now, like here on Ice Weapon, I can't bring in all of the formatting that happens from the web pages. Now, if this were something that we're running on a PHP web page with SQL, then yeah, you'd be able to change the formatting and have it saved and all that. Right now, it's just dumping basically the plain text, and it keeps a few things like the returns, so that it gives a new line, and that's the limit. When it's empty, it'll show a 0, or it'll change the name. So see how it says name right here? I have it going to class 7. Well, one of the things I found is I made it exactly like the number counts of the players, the regular D&D sheet. So you may not use some of these. You can change the name of some of these fields if you run out, and there you go. You can add more to it. If you want, you can copy. Sorry, let me try to bring it down here. You can copy all of those and make a new line and paste, and then just change the names. So instead of this one going to what was number 8, then have it go to number 9. Okay, and yeah, it's going to show that it's going to something that doesn't exist, but you needed more space. You can add more here. You can just, take a go to home, merge and center, and then just keep filling it in and change the name. So if you want to change the name of blah blah blah, where am I at? I'm on spell cards. I want to take this one, take the name, bam, go to spells 1, take that field we just grabbed, and then just make it equal. Sorry. Take it, copy it, hit escape, make your life easier. Then goes to spells 1, and then just change the name, hit enter, and when you go there, it's now switched to 0 because there's nothing in that field. If I want it to say something, say something. Okay, then it now says it here. So you can do the same thing, just copy the format from all of the different things that I've done here. I set it to where spell class 1, so that means that if you are multi-classing, then your second class would be 2, and you can just copy and paste and go from there. You can right click on the tab, see where it says move or copy. See, there's a ton that are here. Create a copy and then put it wherever you want it. If you unhide, man, there's so many, right, of all the different things that you can mess around with. And I would take the spell sheet and duplicate it, make one for your multi-class and one for your main class, and then just leave them there. Okay, as you go through, you're going to have to track your own spell slots and all that kind of stuff. That part's up to you, but the functions will work. Like this stuff here, like these lookups, all that will work, and you can continue doing it. Your character front, you may want to make another character front sheet, and you can change these to on the second sheet. Just say it's equal to str, so for strength, and it will it'll fill these in automatically, and you can use one sheet as your main, and then your alt will hold on to whatever information you pulled for your second class. You can even hide that sheet, just change it up here to whatever it is, and set like this equal to class level 1, and make class level 2 the second one, and then fill in whatever. You can just redirect the HPs and all that kind of stuff to you using the same formulations. That would be my best advice, is just to make duplicate sheets and then have the values point the other way, and then it will allow you to make multi-class work. That's pretty much it. If you were to select any of these, I want to show you the tables. So I want to unhide. I have one. Let's filter dependencies. Okay, I have filter proficiencies. Yeah. So I set this one filter proficiencies up, and it's got some extra tables. Don't get rid of this one here. Just modify it from what you need. All the weapon proficiency stuff, all of the armor proficiencies that you can choose from are here. Different tool proficiencies and languages are there. I have levels 1 to 20. And a lot of languages, like if it would be super easy to just put TH at the end. Well, in English, at least American English, we have ST, ND, RD that happen in some of the most commonly used spell levels you're going to be at, right? You're not going to get to 4th or 5th level spells until you've been playing for a while. So I just needed to make a table. Functionally, it worked out pretty good to have the 1 also attached to the XP. So this is where the XP table comes in. When you hit level 20, it's just going to say max because it's not officially supported. If you want to go past 20, you want to go 21, whatever it is, keep going. Just take the 0 and the cantrip and move it lower, and it'll be fine. Alignments are here if you want to use those. If there's anything else that you want to attach to levels, then do that here. I made it red on the tab, so hopefully that'll tell you, don't delete me. And then there's some other things I wanted to show you. Classes. Classes are pretty easy. There are unhide class dependencies. Did I lose it? I just can't find it because I'm old and I can't see. Okay. Let me take these spells and hide those. Okay. So classes and class dependencies are here. The classic ones are here. These are from the SRD. This is where I added the various Kibbles Tasty ones. Again, that's where I said I was getting the homebrew from. If you wanted your life to be simple, you can just copy paste SRD 5.1 into this field and utilize the page how you want, and it'll automatically appear, and you don't have to add anything. So you don't have to make any changes. It'll work. Otherwise, if you want to be able to sort, this is how you have to separate things out. The hit die, so you know what that is. So that's HP per level. All of the calculations that are super pain in the butt, I figured out on the main page, and it is made so you're not going to roll. It's just going to take the average, and you can replace that if you want to keep tracking it. If you just want to simplify your life and use the average that's provided to you, life gets easier. Just make sure your monsters are the same. They get spellcasting bonuses, so charisma bonus, whiz bonus, int bonus, based on the class is here. And I put under class stat 1. Right now it's being used for whatever your spellcasting stat is. If you had something else, like Laser Llama has Savage Exploits, Johnman 3000 has a bunch of different classes. There's all these guys that are very prolific at making their different classes. If there's something else that you want to track based on your class, not subclass, but class, that gives you something special, then you can set which one it is here. Just happens to be spellcasting is one of the most common ones, and it goes from there. And under dependencies, I have a filter function here under this yellow one, and I have a filter function here under this yellow one. And as they increase, like if you want to add Artificer, if it ever becomes available, then you might need to move these down, go from there. How do subclasses work? Well, bring up the subclasses that's hidden, and I've just typed it in there. And this is what's available under subclass name. You got to put your class information in there first. So if you'll notice, there's all these ones for Occultist, Spellblade, Inventor, and Warlord for Kibbles Tasty, but he also made some for, I think it's a he. I don't know. I don't know what their deal is. I'm just going to keep saying he, and if I'm wrong, someone can put it in the comments. Paladin. So this is their dog one, the Oath of the Goodest Boy. Then they had these various Warlocks and other versions in there. And I put it in. So just keep, it doesn't matter what order it's in. The order that it appears top to bottom here is the order that it's going to appear in the the data validation list. You can kind of change that a little bit. I believe you can set XLOOKUPs and filters to go first to last or last to first, depending on how you want it to do its job. XLOOKUPs are what you use to bring up one thing. Only one thing. You can only look up one thing, and it's only going to give you one thing. If you need to take a whole bunch of data and refine it down into a bunch of things, those are filters. Filters have to go to a separate page or a separate field or a separate, area. You're going to have to make that happen yourself. Organize your data the way you want it to. Use what I've got if that's what you want. But you can add to the ones that don't say dependencies. The ones that say dependencies, if it's not showing up for you, then click on it. Sorry, got to click on a dependencies one, and probably change the range. So because it's the SRD, these are locked into the 15 different fields, but you can change it to 100 or something like that to try to capture more things. That part's up to you. When you change it on one, you got to change it on all of them. So like, don't forget this 15, this 15, this 15, this 15. You got to change it on all of them. That's or else it's going to give you an error. So chances are that's probably what we didn't do. Again, if you see the exclamation mark, look for a page, probably hidden page, that has that name. So with that in mind, I'm going to hide, and for the most part, that would be your character sheet doing stuff for you. I did not put drop downs on all of these because it would be pointless. I only did it for cantrips. Once you've decided if you want to pull the data or whatever class that you want to go from, modify the spell list the same way that I told you. Again, if you could just VStack it, your life will be easier, but that is a subscription model requirement. I'm not charging you any money, so that part's up to you. Go ahead and look up any of the crazy functions and other stuff that is presented here for your use. If you have any questions, specifically on Excel, I would say go to like the Excel free help profiles and websites and things, because there's so many smarter people than me that are only good at Excel and way better at it than I will ever be, and they will be generally happy to give you some extra information and look things up. And yeah, otherwise, if there's something I missed, like that Y that didn't get pasted in, okay, I'll make some changes. If somebody does something crazy and tries to modify my Excel sheet, then I might have to post a new one up that's read-only. That happened on the last one. So if you saw the last video and you're like, hey, where'd my bookmark go? Go back to the page and look at it again so you can download and copy your own sheet. I would prefer if everybody had the opportunity to become a wizard by learning Excel and being the best person in their office and being everybody's favorite go-to, because why not, right? You guys are old enough probably to be able to have jobs, and it's something that will put you ahead. I've had many people get these weird crazy little homework assignments from me about stuff like character sheets, and turned into jobs where they got fancy cars and they're living their dreams and all that kind of stuff. I want you guys to have that opportunity too. Nobody bothers to really learn Excel, and if you have a project like this that gets you to interact with it and get familiar with it, then just like playing a video game, you know what I mean? You'll start to have a feel for it. You won't be afraid of it, and you'll be able to find and answer the questions and things people have for you. Typically, they're just going to ask you to fix a thing or run a report for them, which Excel can do, ridiculously well, and go from there. I don't see myself making anything else publicly available other than some fixes and feature changes. unless I come up with a crazy good idea. And otherwise, I'm just going to use my sheets and make whatever homebrew cool stuff I can. Oh, I guess maybe I should show you items. Let me show you items real quick. Unhide and item. All the items from the SRD are in here, and you can put in all the items that matter to you. And you can even make drop downs if you wanted to do that validation list type thing to affect your backpack. So you can store stuff and keep track of your things. If you're going to be constantly moving back and forth, then maybe a drop down's easier than typing it in every time. I have included all the additional information such as, whoa, where'd it go? Stealth mod, advantage and disadvantage. You can get crazy with it and make it so that these dex modifications max out. If you want to play with the ACs, then and you've got a character you're sure you're going to be playing, and you want to mess with it some more, you can. I made it so that the things attached to hand and offhand, if you want to make it so that there's like a drop down that automatically assigns to those, you can. There's costs as assigned in the SRD. You can play around with that if you want. And there's even remove time. You can set timers. Ooh. If you wanted to be able to do that, you can set up extra information that pops up with VB scripts. The light and heavy categories, you can show things happen in, if you're trying to dual wield two heavy things, then great. It'll pop up, make it pop up with a red text or something showing that you can't, or just invalidate it, or make it so that your offhand can only take light items. You can do that if you want to as well. Ranges are there. All the information that was provided in whatever tables is in here. So just like the strength requirement was the only one that I made work. You can go in and do the same thing with like advantage, disadvantage, that kind of stuff. So play with it. There's stuff you can do. I'm not doing everything for you. I just want everybody to have a good time. Maybe the first thing to do is to say take all the concentration spells and make them show up in bold, maybe, or highlight them in yellow so that you'll always know, like, oh, I can only pick one of these three spells that I've got out here. Give it a shot. Why not? You've been given more than enough options of things that you could try to research. Play around with it, make a few characters, and like I said, it can do things that D&D Beyond can't yet, and might not ever be able to, without a whole lot of extra hand-holding. And I just don't like D&D Beyond's homebrew interface, and this makes things, I would say better. You can also take pictures. Oh yeah, that's a thing. You can paste, like if you want to insert, you can insert not just pivot tables and stuff like that, but you can go to pictures. You can go look up stock images. You can do whatever. And if there's, I'll go to unhide character back. If you want to paste a picture in here, you can do that too. And, get it from Midjourney. That's what I did. And Excel can hold on to that information. So, maybe that makes it a little easier to describe your character. Maybe it makes you feel closer to him. Cool. You can put your pet pictures in there of whatever companions you've got. If somebody, went out, you paid somebody, a couple $100 or $25 or whatever it is to make a customized D&D photo portrait of your character, and you want to put it in your character page, guess what? Now you can do that. So, yeah, I'm proud of this. I think it's going to change things for people. I think all the homebrewers that are out there, if they took some version of this, they would be able to iterate faster, because, like, say the savage exploits of, or just whatever they call the exploits that Laser Llama uses, you can take one of these fields, instead of additional features and traits, you can, if you wanted to, you can break it, take you know, half of it, whatever, and start making individual fields. Go to data validation, and then as long as you use basically the same format of the pages that I've created and how the data is stored, you can quickly go in and add your customizations to some area that's in here, and even have it appear with a description if that's what you want. If you have a description field that tells what the exploit that you picked was. So there's a lot of power here. It'll probably take you a couple hours at most of just messing around, and you can get all the cool homebrew stuff that you want. Okay, you guys have a good one. That's it for me. My name was Joe. You can say thank you if you want. You can hit share, you can hit like, and show more people this type of sheet if you want to do that. I think the more that you do that, then the more people will see. And since I'm not asking for anything, you can say thank you. All right. And hopefully everybody will be able to utilize all the cool stuff I've included.